Hello, welcome to Lunar Transmissions. Agent Dakini here, otherwise known as Laura Boomer Trent, with Astro Dakini's Dharma Stars and the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. Lunar Transmissions are a monthly study of the lunar cycles so that we can live more harmoniously in balance with nature. And of course, this new moon is very, very special. It's a new moon in Aquarius that's coming up on the 11th of February, Thursday or Friday the 12th, if you're in Australia. And it's a very exciting new moon. It's not only filled with 6 planets in Aquarius. In fact, there's a 7th heavenly body in there, which makes it very super duper exciting, in fact. It brings in the new. There's a lot of futuristic feeling that it's almost like we're going into a world of sci-fi in many ways. And it does seem that we are actually heading into something fantastically new, which I will go into. But first off, I just want to say also, Happy New Year of the Metal Ox, which I think is just gorgeous. We are waving goodbye to the rat, and we are welcoming the white metal ox. So I want to say Kong Yi Fat Joy to my Chinese friends, Tashi Delay, Losa Tashi Delay to my Tibetan friends, and Happy New Year to absolutely everybody with the year of the white metal ox. And as I said, it's a very exciting start to this fabulous year. I just want to share my screen with you. Okay. So yeah, lunar transmissions, the Aquarian new moon, the new year of the white metal ox. And we'll be looking at these moon cycles. Just to explain, there are 12 to 13 moon cycles per year. And so the sun and the moon have this little dance that they weave in and out of each other. And of course, this year is incredibly exciting with the lunar new year of the white metal ox at 20:05 Universal Time. I've made it Universal Time so you can all check back to what London time is. We'll be moving into the first quarter in Gemini on the 19th with a full moon in Pisces and Virgo. So full moon's in Virgo, sun is in Pisces on the 27th, which is known as the Day of Miracles. And the last quarter moon is in Sagittarius. So it's a bit far-sighted for that last quarter moon, and which is good for healing. And we'll be going into the next cycle, which will be a new moon in Pisces on March the 13th, which is yet another interesting sacred time in the East. One of my things I should say is that I do actually bridge East and West a lot, and I like to bring everything together. My Lama asked me to be a global astrologer, and he didn't mean like global as in, go around the world, but just to actually get a really good handle on all the various different systems of astrology. And so the March the 13th is Mahashivratri, and that's honoring Shiva, the creator-destroyer, the Vedic creator-destroyer. And what's interesting there is, of course, is that Shiva is in many tantras, which is very unusual for the mandalas, which, as I said, is very unusual to see Tibetans actually, or the Buddhist teachings taking on Hindu influences, but Shiva is one. So we like Shiva a lot. And just to move along now, we've got an idea that we go from new moon, first quarter, to full to last quarter. Those are the main markers. There are several others, and we'll explore those as we go through. So the year of the white metal ox. And if I just move my camera up there, can you see that? We're going into the Tibetan year of 2148, and they call it the Iron Bull, which I actually rather like too, which reminds me of a Scottish drink, which kind of gives you kick. It's very taurine. I have to say that this year is a very oxy year. Although we've got all these planets in Aquarius, with the main planets Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, we have Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, in Taurus. And just to quickly explain why, or how, should I say, we calculate the various different animal signs and which element that they're with, is that we say that it's 12 different animal signs, which is similar to Jupiter. And those 12 different animal signs go through 5 different elements. So you get a 60-year cycle by looking at the earth ox, fire ox, wind ox, metal ox, water ox. And that is also 3 different cycles of Jupiter and Saturn, which is important, which we'll look at in a moment, and 2 cycles of Saturn. So for those who were born in like 1963, for instance, you are going through your 5th Jupiter cycle and your 2nd Saturn return, which makes it an incredibly powerful year. The other thing that I'd like to talk about with the metal ox is how it actually rules the north-northeast. In the feng shui, in the area that we live in. So in the north-northeast, it means that you can actually see this is better, it's more easily explained here. With the, you can see it's in the north-northeast. Here's the metal ox. If I use my cursor, actually, let me just see if I can get my laser pointer easier. So with the cursor here, you can see that that's in the north-northeast. And here again in north-northeast is Aquarius. So they're very, very, very connected, the ox and Aquarius, because the ox is actually working for the benefit of humanity, and so is Aquarius. The ox it takes on responsibility. The ox is also a castrated bull, you know, and that tames it. And I think that that's quite interesting because it's the Saturnian side of Aquarius that we're going to experience, I think, this year, which makes it much more responsible and disciplined. Now, going back to the energies of the north-northeast corner in your home or at work or even on your desk, is to not do any building there. It's ruled by Jupiter. It's called Tai Sui, and so no building in that particular area of the home or office or land, because you don't want to upset Jupiter. You don't want to upset the Grand Duke, which Jupiter is called, nor do you want to sit with your back towards the north-northeast. And what we do is we put 6 or 8 metal rod wind chimes in the southeast corner to gentle the wind energy, and which helps overcome obstacles. And we also put a crystal in the southeast to diffuse negative energy at home or at work. And that's really enhances relationships. Ox is also a cross-quarter guardian, and he's the guardian of Aquarius, which is the time of seeding, coming out of the cold, still in the cold, but coming out of it. There's the seed of promise of light. And that's a powerful place for the ox to occupy. It's the year of 1961, so happy birthday to all my metal ox friends and all other oxes, of course. And metal ox wears the yoke of responsibility. It calls for patience to organize and create order at home, at work, within your own headspace too. Indeed, spaciousness and distance within social structures could continue while Saturn is in Aquarius, and that's until March 23. And I know that's a long time, and I'm hoping that certain things will ameliorate the ability to be human. And because we are social creatures, you know, this is a very Aquarian time of humanity. And we are social animals and we love to be with each other. And I must say that I'm certainly one of those. But at the same time, 2021 is a time to hold steady in body, speech, and mind. And the aim is actually to generate the altruistic intention which Aquarius represents. So the ox has no patience for laziness and knows effort reaps rewards. It's tireless and dedicated. Ox makes dependable leaders. It's disciplined and stable with great stamina. This ox is also scholarly, with cultural interests in both classical and experimental arts. It's intellectually cool, yet naive in affairs of the heart. Far out fashion and lifestyles from the Aquarian influence is acceptable, but there's always a power suit lurking in the metal ox wardrobe as it leans towards the more traditional Saturnian side of Aquarius, which I've mentioned. And therefore, it's most willing to be of service. Metal ox is strong, clear, intense, and resolute. It's sure-footed and humble, helpful and reliable. Metal ox can also force issues or be a bit difficult and rigid. It has enormous stamina, however, that can keep on going and works hard until a job is done, throughout the night if necessary. I don't know if you have been out with a metal ox or have a metal ox friend, but I'm always the one that's, waiting for a cup of tea while they're still working away. And I'm like, oh, I'll just let you get on with it then. Thanks. I'll just have to rest a bit. The ox keeps going and it furrows away in the fields behind it, which is an important point to take on board this year. So this year's metal ox favors Sagittarius, Aquarius, Capricorn, Taurus, and because Jupiter, which is associated with whichever element the animal is in, because Jupiter dips into Pisces for the summer months from the end of May till the end of July, I'm going to say that it's a good year for Pisces as well, and especially those born between, well, all the signs actually, but anyone between 1 and 3 a.m. So if you're born between that time, this is a good time for you. This is a good year for you. So how do we all fare in the metal ox? And this is a very general one sentence look at what each animal sign could expect in this year. So rats, even though we've waved goodbye to you, and I have to say, thank goodness, not just to the rats, but to all that really heavy duty karmic Capricorn energy. Now it's much, much lighter. And the rat has a surprisingly good year with enhanced connection in relationships. Ox can have obstacles and challenges, but these are overcome by cooperation. And I have to say, actually, the ox year, whichever year we are experiencing, if it's our year, then often we have those extra obstacles and we have to almost prove us to ourselves, not necessarily to others, but we have to prove that we can do whatever it is that we want to do and be whoever it is that we want to be. So it's about setting goals that you can accomplish. Now, the tiger needs to watch jealousy and the instinct to pounce upon those weaker. Rabbit has an excellent year for teamwork and cultivating solid relationships. Dragon is working hard for the benefit of others and generates respect and admiration. The snake can develop helpful relationships and actually form good, strong, lasting ties. The horse does well when communicating clearly from the heart. Still, there may be hurdles to jump. Sheep overcomes difficulties by not comparing self to others and staying cool. Monkey can deal with reservations by finding and exploring common ground. Rooster can have one of the best years, surrounded by love and happiness. So if there's a rooster marriage on the cards, go for it. Dogs may find this a frustrating year that doesn't move fast enough. Go easy, dogs. Take yourself for a walk if you've got lots of excess energy. Now, the boar has a few struggles in this ox year, but it's mainly around surrounding the need to satisfy desires. Now, greedy boars, you've got to watch your waistline this year, basically. This is the LOSAR Lunar New Year Metal Ox New Moon chart at 23 degrees of Aquarius. As I said, there are 6 planets in Aquarius, with 1 extra being Pallas Athena, the strategic asteroid, the goddess of strategy and planning. And this, in this ox year, I find this very, very encouraging, this chart, primarily because of the ox's ability to create a space where we can plant seeds. And the new moon is about planting seeds. It's about setting the intention. And our intention this particular new year, new moon, is about planting seeds of enlightenment, the enlightening seeds of awakening to love. And I know that sounds like an enormously huge task, but it's not impossible. The point is to think long term. Now, I don't know if you remember, but we had this fantastic great conjunction, the great chronocrater at the winter solstice, the 21st of December, when Jupiter and Saturn, expansive Jupiter and contractual Saturn, came together in Aquarius for the first time in hundreds of years. I kid you not, like 800 years. And what it did was that it set a new 200-year cycle into play. And within this 200-year cycle, we've now waved goodbye to all that heavy duty, earthy, karmic, Capricorn consequences, hopefully. And we are now entering into a new 200-year influence of the air element. And this is really important to take on board, that the intellectual and the rational and the ability to communicate and to interconnect are really what this is all about. These planets in Aquarius, they're about generating the altruistic intention within, but they're also about planting the seeds of enlightenment. And what enables us to do that, I think, with a good heart, is the fact that Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, is with Venus, which is the planet of love. So we can say that Jupiter's growing the love. It's big love, the big love for humanity, big love for our fellow humans. And in Aquarius, of course, we are to think long term with this influence of the new moon and the new year, plus the great chronocrater. So we can think long term and go, well, you know, in 200 years, if humanity has actually achieved equality, liberty, the friendship circles that we encourage, and fraternity, good kindred spirits, you know, seeing 7 billion people on the planet and we're all one. Of course, we're all individuals within that collective sphere, but that's the aim. And that's what we're aiming for in this particular new moon and the new year of the metal ox. As I said, it's super duper exciting. There is one spanner in the celestial works, and that is, if you see this red square here, which is from Saturn to Uranus, and that sticks with us all year. There will be conflict in the way that we do expand and that we do grow. There will be difficulties and challenges to do with the Earth. Indeed, we've just witnessed a huge glacier problem, you know, where the land actually moved and shifted so much with the melting of the glaciers. These things are going to become more common, I think, and also food, finances, security, and what we grow. It's becoming super important to consider, how do we feed each other? How do we feed ourselves? How do we feed our group? Not just our family, but these are big issues. And see, Uranus is very much about seeing things outside the box. And Saturn is the box. In fact, Uranus will come along and say, hey, get rid of the box. We don't need that box. And then Saturn will say, no, bring the box back. But once Uranus has brought the box back, it's a completely different shaped box. You know, it may not even be square. That's the nature of Uranus. It's about being inventive and determined. It can also be slightly rebellious, but there is a lot of social unrest, I think, also with this particular setup, but it's very electrical and buzzy. And so there's lots of new things happening in the world of tech and connection, but there's also a certain kind of spaciousness about this year which continues. Now, Losar is considered to be a very important time, so important in the Tibetan world that everybody ages 1 year, so that everybody has their birthday on the same day. Such is the power of the collective sign of Aquarius. So, Om Mani Padme Hung, everybody's going to be 1 year older. And may all beings be happy as we go into the full moon. We then encounter this very first Saturn Uranus square, believe it or not. But it's not only the first Saturn Uranus square, but it's also the very first day of the year, of the lunar new year, in which we can put up our lovely prayer flags. I'm going to just these prayer flags, which carry the prayers, they carry your wishes and your hopes through the sphere, through the noosphere, through the field, through this bioenergetic space between us. And the prayers represent the elements and how the elements flow through the air. And of course, Aquarius is a very airy sign, very intellectual, cool air sign. And what we say when we're flying our prayer flags is that we are raising good fortune. We are sending blessings out, sending our prayers out, and we are raising good fortune for all beings. And we're doing it on the Saturn-Uranus square, which is fantastic, which began it's a 45-year cycle, and it began in 1988. Now, I remember this really well for me, because I'm getting older now, of course. And so for me, 1988 was super important. And I had this flash, which is very Uranian and very Aquarian, that I wanted to get astrology much more into the public eye. And which took a few years to manifest, but we did it. So that's the power of Saturn, was to be able to manifest it. And Uranus, of course, is the sign of astrology. And with so many planets in Aquarius, I must say that I'm really heartened to see all the young influences, the new people coming into astrology. It's so encouraging. I love it. And I'm not really sure how much more you want to go into this particular square. I was actually going to wait for some feedback and see how deeper we want to go into this. But suffice to say that this particular square, which is challenging, which is, we have 3 hits. We have the one that's coming up before the full moon. We have one in June, just before solstice, on the 15th of June. And we have another in just after the next solstice, the winter solstice. These are massive natural turning points. So in these natural turning points, we will be figuring out how to take the responsibility for our own freedom. How do we actually, because you can't have all the freedom that Aquarius would like without accepting any kind of responsibility. Otherwise, we're just going to descend into anarchy. And I certainly don't think that humans are conscious or evolved enough yet to allow absolutely everybody to do whatever it is that they want to do. But at the same time, having said that, I do encourage people to explore their creative side and to contribute to the greater whole with your creativity. However that manifests, it could be finances, it could be gardening, it could be writing, it could be serving, it could be helping people create order. That's anything that creates a sense of accomplishment is helpful for humans. We like that. It helps us to feel good. So kind of move along, because this is quite a complex square, but suffice to say that we get it just before it's sandwiched in between the new moon and the full moon. Okay, so here's the full moon of our this cycle, and it's called the Great Prayer Festival. And the Great Prayer Festival is a time of celebrating, in the Buddhist tradition, is a time of celebrating the Lord Buddha's miracles. And you think, oh, well, Jesus did miracles too. He did. And, miracles are, I know they're not 10 a penny, they're rare, but they're shown to actually enhance our faith. And I think that this particular full moon is about faith And I love the way that it's picking up with Venus. It's got the sun with Venus. You can see Venus here and her handmaiden's mirror holding it up as she picks up the same degree which Jupiter will land on when he goes retrograde in the summer. So this particular full moon, which is a culmination of prayers and hopes and wishes, also has a promise of what's coming up in the summer. It's a beautiful, another beautiful chart. And this particular chart it emphasizes world servers with the Saturn and Jupiter and Mercury. Mercury's going forwards, thank heavens. And we also have Venus and the Sun and Neptune in Pisces, representing spiritual service. And then we have the Moon in Virgo, down here with Vesta, being of practical service. I've done all the charts for London, as I've said, because it's easier for universal time and everybody can calculate where it fits into your chart. Obviously, it will land in a different house. And one day we'll go through that and we'll have a look and see how that works, because that's actually quite a solar technique and it's a good one to know. So it's also known as the full snow moon, it's the hunger moon, the storm moon, and to the Cherokees, it's the bone moon, and to the Tibetans, it's the Great Prayer Festival. So this is also a festival of light. So we light our candles, we've got our prayer flags out from the 17th, and we pray for the benefit of all sentient beings. And what I like also about this particular chart is the compassion shown with the sun conjunct widely, but it's there with Neptune and Venus. So this is about compassion. And Venus, of course, is exalted in Pisces, which means that she's in the best possible place that she can be in. And so it generates compassion for ourselves, for others, and it's also got altruism and the wisdom of altruism. So we have wisdom and compassion. And these are the two wings we actually need for humans to discover an essential within ourselves, which is the deep, loving, compassionate bodhicitta, which resides within our heart, so that we can be kind and loving to all beings. And that is essential for enlightenment. There's no enlightenment without the wisdom or without the compassion, or indeed without being able to generate the altruistic intention. And I think that this moon is almost like a seal on the fact that humanity has the ability to become enlightened. And I know you think, oh, that's not going to happen tomorrow, but I'm giving us 200 years. It's a long timeline. So with that, I would just like to say Lo Sa Tashi Delay, Kong Yi Fat Choi to my Chinese friends and all my Himalayan friends, and to my lamas and fellow Dharma friends, and my astrology friends, and everybody. Let's be inclusive. Everybody. Have a fantastic year of the Ox. It's very exciting, but stay on course, and we'll be back with you next month with the next new moon, the next lunar transmission on March the 13th, or for March the 13th, and the Pisces new moon. So I'd like to say thank you very much from Laura Boomer, Trent, that's me, and Astro Dakini's Dharma Stars, Astrology and Spirituality, being hosted by the Cosmic Intelligence Agency, which is a great place if you want to learn astrology. There's a great resource and incredible content at the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. But if you'd like to have a reading with me, then please do get in touch either at Astro Dakini's Dharma Stars or through the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. For now, I'd like to say goodbye and thanks for watching, and may all be well, may all be auspicious, and Happy New Year of the Metal Ox. Bye.